Good morning, Breakfast Club family. I guess good afternoon for some of us as well. Welcome to the Breakfast Club. For those that are new, that are joining us today, as well as those that come here every week. I have some great information for you today. I'm quite sure that you got the notification, and we're going to get right into it. So, Joe, how you doing this morning?
Good morning, Mark. I'm fantastic and amazing, heading towards phenomenal.
That's what I like to hear.
I wonder who I learned that from. That's the way Mark Stevens starts his day, and that's how he responds to how are you doing every single time. I think maybe once he said, hey, I'm doing really good today. I had a little problem with my computer, and that's about the only time he didn't say fantastic and amazing. Anyway, I'm doing great. So how about you?
I am doing fantastic and amazing, heading to phenomenal too. Real excited. Real excited.
Well, I'm going to, I think, share my screen a little bit as I move over. Once I do that, I want to make this clear to everyone. Once I share the screen, I can no longer see the control room. So that means I can't see any chats, questions, responses. I can't see any of that. The only person that can see that is Mark. If I go back to that and I'm screen sharing, you will see what I'm screen sharing. So I won't be able to see that. So if you have any questions at the end, before when we close the broadcast, Mark and we stay on the line. We have an opportunity to look at those chats. But if anything happens in the during, Mark will be able to see and answer some questions. Mark and I had a talk last week, kind of about life and where people are in life, and he made some comments to me about my life. And so this is not about me today. This is about everyone. I started to think about what he was telling me and pointing out to me, and then I saw a show, a interview recently, and it was very interesting, very, very interesting about Mark. It was about a guy who was a football player who had a career-ending injury. Not a life-threatening, but a career-ending. He was never the same. He broke his wrist, and it shattered, and there was no way. He was a receiver, I believe, and he just really wasn't going to recover. And he went into a depression. He didn't know what he was going to do. He said he spent a year and a half on his sister's couch. Lucky for him that he had somebody that would take him in and maybe have some sympathy or empathy for him, that he didn't know what he was going to do. His career, that he thought his whole life was about football. And he had to change gears, but it took him a year and a half, he said, of laying on the couch trying to figure it all out. And I guess something hit, and he spoke with a few people. He went to a few meetings, and he met some mentors who guided him very much like we get guided today by certain people about looking into the future and what do you really want and so on. And he made some very, very interesting comments. This guy now has a book. He has a podcast. And young guy, to me, it looked like he was still in his 20s, maybe 30s. But he started talking about, the mentors that he worked with, people that inspired him, the people that were giving him direction. He reached out, to these people, and he said, "What can I do?" And they gave him a path to go on. And so I find it interesting, Mark. We'll talk about that in a minute. But what I find interesting is that I'd like to see if people will respond to this. I'm going to ask a question. Nobody sees these answers. I don't think anybody can see the chats. Can they? Or can they? Not
Yes,
really. I know we can see them, but can anybody? I didn't share my screen yet, so I guess I can see things. If you could just tell me whether or not you could are you able to see people's chats or just Mark and I are seeing it. I'm not sure. And if so, I guess I could turn the chat off. I think that's what I can do. Enable chat box. How about if I disable it? No, you know what? If I do that, Mark, I think we can't see it either. So either way, all right, well, let's just look at it this way, since nobody knows anybody's last name, basically. How have you ever sat down and did what all the gurus told you? Every class on, getting ahead and success has been about, part of it is about your goal setting and write down your goal, and not so much a goal, but as a, where do you see yourself? And they ask you to write down a plan. Where do you see yourself in a week, in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks? And write all your goals and your dreams. There you go. What is your dream? What is your purpose? What are you doing? And I don't know many people, Mark, that can. I think people start the process, but I don't know many people that keep up with that process, where they continue on, setting a goal, hitting the goal, setting a goal, hitting the goal, 30 day, 60 day, 90 day. And what I find interesting in all of these networking companies, when you start listening to people who are making a lot of money, they start telling you all of a sudden they know how it's all done. And yet it took them years to get it done. And now they want you to do it in 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days, when none of them did it that way. Almost none. Some of the people that can do that in 30, 60, 90 days, guys like Mark Yarnell, God rest his soul, and Bob Safford, guys like that who were able to do things, set goals for 30, 60, 90 days, a year, and so on, and hit those goals. Very motivated people, plus big networks they had. But I just find it so interesting that these people sit there and start telling you how to, write down the 30-day and there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with saying that. I find it interesting that the people who all of a sudden start making money all of a sudden tell you how to do it, and you have to go now, write down all your goals, your dreams, and yet they didn't do that. Do you find that, Mark, to be a little odd? I mean, do you see it that way?
Yes. Well, I don't see it that way, that exactly the way that they do it, but I do understand what you're saying, because I've done that, before. You can write things down or whatever, but you don't necessarily stick to them. And, as far as myself, to be perfectly frank, I do mine now on a daily basis. If I can, accomplish what I have set for myself for the day, and if I do that every day, the short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals are going to happen. That's the way I kind of look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what I find interesting is that all of a sudden, these people that start making a lot of money, all of a sudden they know how to do it when they didn't do it that way. And then they want you to do this. Now, my point is that, yes, daily, I keep a daily planner, as you know, and every night before I go to bed, I write down what I need to do the next day. They're not necessarily my goals. These are not, my dreams. I had a hard time defining what my dream was in life, what I really wanted to accomplish. I had a hard time with that for a while. But I think people get stuck with this because that over and over again, they don't hit the goal that they set. They define a dream, which really isn't a dream for them. What is it that you really want? So this is what this guy was talking about. And helping people see something a little differently. And that's why I wrote what I wrote, because people are looking at this. I know I hear it all the time. Write down your dream. What is your dream? What are you trying to do here? What is your why? There's the word I was looking for. Your why. Mark, I had that heck of a time defining my why years and years ago. I really did. I don't know that most people know their why they're going to do something. Yes, if people have, I remember a woman in networking that had a son with a problem, autism. And I know her why she was doing the business. That was why. That's what Bob Safford, called not only a CCMP, a clear, concise mental picture of the thing you want to achieve. The goal that she set for herself was emotional. There had to be some emotional attachment to it in order to stick to it. And to this day, she's sticking to it. But someone Bob always said, Joe, if you write down your why, and it's your why is to buy a new Cadillac, you're probably not going to get it, because there's no, unless there was some really, really emotional attachment to that car. So he made it very clear that emotions had to be tied to long-term goals and the whys. So when I heard this guy speak and he said something a little different, and I thought, boy, if people understood that, and I hope that I can transfer that information. I hope I can make it clear of what he said. So they asked him the question, they said, you have some tips in your book. And he said, yeah, the thing that you have to do is define your vision. Now, you could talk that and say that's a why, but I didn't see it that way. He said that's the key. The greatest leaders in the world have powerful visions without evidence on how they're going to achieve them, how they're going to get to their goals and dreams. See, it was different. The dream was different than the vision. He said they have visions. They don't even know how they're going to do it, but they have visions on what they want to achieve, on their goals, on their dreams, but they still can't see it yet. In other words, they see they see it at the end, but they don't see how they're going to get it, and then they work on it. And he said, is what I wanted people to do is write down exactly what they want without any shame or guilt. I mean, we all have different visions of. Anyway, he said, do it without shame or guilt, without feeling bad about it. He said, write down what you want your perfect day to look like. And then make that your vision. See yourself doing it. So the point of that is, I don't think many people, Mark, see what their perfect day looks like. What do they want their day to look like? Not the goal into the future, but what do you want today to look like? And that ought to be enough motivation. That vision of today, that plan, putting that into action would make a difference. He said, and that's how I started my days, is having the vision of what my perfect day was going to look like. And it was very interesting that I grabbed onto that conversation, because Mark said to me last week, and this isn't about me, but I'm going to say this. We've had talks about life and things, and last week he told me that, Joe, you have an interesting life. Well, Mark, I'm going to let you explain that, what you said, without too much detail, but you said something about me, and I had looked at it, because I'll tell you the truth. I had a vision of getting out to retirement years, to getting up, do what I wanted to do. Hopefully I would have had my animals, I didn't realize the two that I have now were going to be the ones, but what I would do every day, what I didn't have to do. I don't have to go to work every day. I don't have to get up and perform any tasks if I don't want to. And I'm not a millionaire, but I always saw that as my way down the road. It wasn't something I concentrated on every day, but I did have that thinking, and I think a lot of people do, when you get out there, what's it going to look like? And now I get up with that. I have in my mind what my perfect day looks like. I know what it is, and I write down my daily plans every day. But truth is, if it's something to do with work and I don't want to do it, I don't do it. But anyway, Mark made this comment to me, and I hadn't thought about that for quite a long time, Mark. And I looked at it and I went, wow, he's right. It is pretty exciting. I'm not living on my 90 acres anymore. I don't have, 50 head of cattle, and the river's not down the road anymore. I did all that.
Well, see, Joe, when you talk about that, and everybody really needs to take a look at that, and like I said, I did that as well. And like when you talk about vision, well, okay, vision can mean a lot of things. What I mean by that is, okay, vision, you're looking at how you want to live, how you want to work, when you want to do it, and things like that. And then I was saying, and like you said, I kind of brought it to your attention. I said, Joe, you know what? The setup that you have is the way that most people would love to live. They would die for that. They would kill for that. In other words, if you think about it, most people, they don't want to have to work all the time. Most people want to go to work when they feel like it and come home when they feel like it. They don't want to deal with supervisors from hell. I've said that many times. And because most people don't like their jobs in the country, probably in the world. But the thing is that if you can get up and decide what you want to do for the day, whether it be work, pleasure, or whatever like that, and you don't have to worry about the expense of it, how much money you have to come up with or whatever. But in other words, you have it to a point in your life that you are comfortable. In other words, I am happy with my life. And what do I mean by that? Well, if I get up in the morning, if I feel like working, I'll work. I'll walk right to my computer and I'll work. If I don't feel like working, I won't do it. And I don't have to ask anybody. Why? Because I don't report to anybody but me. So, you think about those things. And then, as I said also last week, Joe, that I thought about my life, my working life, and what my wife has allowed me to do with no stress, no questions. If I messed up, and I messed up many times, but I never have gotten, well, I told you so, or anything like that. If I mess up, it was, what can I do to help? And then, as I told you, Joe, I'll put it out there. It's a little personal, but I'll put it out there because it's very important. My wife, in all these years, I've been able to do what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it, with no friction from her or anything like that. And she never asked for anything. And then just recently, she finally asked for something. She said, I would like to have a new house. Only thing she's ever really asked for. So I thought about it, and I said, you know what? I've gotten to do everything I wanted to do, whether it was successful or not, with no friction from her. She deserves this house. And that became my why as of, I guess, a couple of weeks ago. And I decided to change my whole life around. What I mean by that is that that's what I work for now and will be working for, the way I'll conduct my business. And it's a lot of aspects to that or whatever, but the point is that that's my vision. My vision now is that my wife wants a new house and she's going to get it. And whatever it takes, that's what I'm going to do to get her the house that you want. So I told her, find the house that you want and I'll get it for you. So you have to have a vision for that as well. But back to you, Joe, the point is that where you live at, what you've done to your house, you have your kids, and some people understand this, some people don't. You have your kids, those are your two cats, Jackie and Josie. And in other words, you can go out and be out and about for as long as you want, don't have to come back and hear a bunch of friction or anything like that. And they're glad to see you come back and everything. And if you want to do something, you go do it. If you want to go out of town, you can go do it. If you want to go out and eat or whatever, some special restaurant, you can do that. And you don't have to worry about anything. And that's the kind of life that you have. And I mean, that's the life that everybody wants to have. Whether you're a millionaire or whether you're a thousandaire or 100aire, in other words, the thing is, if that's what it is for you, and I think that's what it is for most people, I know it's certainly what a lot of us want. We want to be able to do what we want to, when we want to, and with who, and not answer to anybody. And that's what you have, and that's why I said that to you, because I thought about it. So you know what? I'm going to change it. That's how I'm going to live the rest of my life. That time is going to belong to my wife because she gave me all the time I wanted to do whatever I wanted to do all these years. So the point is this, is that when you talk about vision, when you talk about goals and things like that, well, a lot of people still don't understand goals, and they've been writing them down, Joe, for days, months, years. They still don't understand what they are. But when you talk about vision, that's a whole different dynamic to me when you think about it. And then the thing is that what I kind of put with vision is I put reason. You do things for a reason. In order to do that, guess what, Joe? Emotion is tied to it, like you just said. There's an emotional piece tied to that. My emotion is that I want to make my wife happier for the rest of her life by giving her the house that she wants, so that she can just relax and just do whatever she wants to do with no stress and all of that. And that's the importance of all of this. So you have to ask yourself, what's really important to me? What's really my vision? What's really my goal? Well, to me, reason plays a big part in that. Why do we do what we do now? There's a reason for that. And there's an emotional reason for that. So, like I said, the life that you live, that you're living, Joe, is a life that most people, to me, would kill for. They want that. They want to be able to do just what you said.
And you understand, you stand up too, Mark, because of me. I'm echoing for some reason. Huh. Can you hear that echo? Oh, there we go. You'll understand the financial end of it as well, because that's the security of it all. Is, I learned when I sold my businesses and I went into the networking arena not knowing what I was doing, and then I learned about finances. I always knew how to make money, Mark. I just didn't know how to keep it. And when I learned through Primerica, A.O. Williams, and so on, what that was all about and how to build that. And to get out to the point where you go, look, it wasn't always this way, as you know. And you get out to the point where you go, I don't have to worry about that anymore. But let's we're going to about 5 minutes. Let me finish up with this guy and give you his other points. This is going to, you'll find this very, very interesting. But again, the first one is about your vision for what do you want your perfect day to look like? You should write that down. Remember, a written, clear, concise mental picture of the thing you want to achieve. It's called a CCMP. But instead of looking at, I down the road in 5 years, what is the perfect day for you? What would you want it to look like? And it doesn't mean you get it today, maybe, but you work towards that. What do you want that day to look like? Do you want to wake up in a suburban area, a nice new house? Do you want to have a house in the country? I just saw a beautiful house in a beautiful setting as someone sent me here. Actually, she's online there of her pictures in the country. I mean, in the country, down south. And, if that's your dream or that's what you want to wake up to that atmosphere every day. Of course, you have to look at that. You have to work towards that. But again, write down what does your perfect day look like? And then act on it. Go ahead and see yourself doing it first. See yourself doing that. Number 2, he said, hustle. You'll find this interesting. He used the word hustle. Put in the work and become a pro at what you do. Hard work. I'm not making this up. These are his exact words. Diving for the loose balls in life, he said. You're always on the team if you're willing to make that extra play and go the extra mile. Diving for the loose ball, Mark. I thought that was very, very descriptive and very I just thought it was interesting that he is using football analogies, but the thing is, you got to hustle. You got to put in the work and become a pro at what you do. Look, stop listening to people who are saying, yeah, you just have to do this and do that. Art Williams taught become a pro. Bob Safford taught become a pro. We have people in this industry that tell you just dial the phone, just find people and get them over here. And we talk about that all the time. I've been re-scripting the communication class, as you know, Mark, and I'm finding some very, very interesting things. We have all the slides done. We're about to ready to put the words to the slides now. Pretty much the same as before, but the little improvements and enhancements and I find it very interesting. And what we teach in that class is to be a pro. We have a group of people working together. Again, they're online, and this is what we decided to do. The people that take the class now, we used to break them up at the end of the second class and put teams of people, little pockets of people together to work together. The problem with that is some of the people dropped out, they weren't available, and people got stuck. And what the purpose of that is to put them together, to practice together, to learn what Mark Stevens talks about all the time when he talks to people. How to answer the questions about making money and how long have you been with the company and what is your company about and where'd you get my name stuff. All the things that are important. Becoming a pro. We are in the business of communicating a message to people to see if we have an interested party. If you don't become a pro at that communication, not going to make it here. I don't care who you are. Statistics show that. The next tip he gave was build a winning team around you to support your views, your vision. So obviously, he didn't say he was in network marketing, but that's kind of what I thought. He said entrepreneurs, try to do it on their own. You have to find the right people. Mark, this is word for word. Here's what he said. Sound familiar? You have to find the right people to support you. You can't do it on your own. You can't achieve great things on your own. You need to be a collective group of people to lift you up. Give us the feedback that we need to get to the next step. That's the purpose of having that class and putting everybody together. We used to put the little pockets. Now it's one big team. Everybody's joining a new team, one team where they can all communicate. And I'm going to have a special meeting this week for those people who are in that group. And I'm going to have a special meeting and talk with them this week. It's not a question and answer period. It's a little bit of inspiration and just to find out if I can help them in any way. And then have some practice sessions, which is what they do all the time. I'm going to join some of those sessions. I'm really excited about working with this group of people. They are the ones, Mark, we've been looking for to go and achieve. I mean, they're really working hard at this. They meet all the time and talk about the things, that people have learned. They're learning them. They're learning how to answer the questions and get people to hear what they have to say. Because just because you're talking doesn't mean they're listening. These people are doing the right thing to get their message out there. They're going to become pros if they haven't already at doing that. So hustle, put in the work, become a pro. And if you don't do that, honestly, you're not going to make it here. I know that 22 years experience tells me that. I see it, and the numbers say that as well. So I wanted to share that with you. The important thing is that instead of trying to look down the road and right now, today, having to have that goal of the future, you don't need that today. You don't need to have the vision that Mark just described for his life. His changed when his wife asked him, and said, yeah, I'd like to have a new house. She didn't even ask. He asked her. And things changed. Something switched. And he said, okay, then great. I'm going to get it. And here's how I'm going to do it. But the important thing, the thing that got my attention that day, other than the other tips that he gave, was the fact that it wasn't all the long-term goals and that big goal at the end. It was, what does your day look like? If you had that perfect day, what would it look like every day getting up? moving through your day. What would it look like? And then see yourself doing it. See yourself having those perfect days, and then put in the work, hustle, put in the work to go get it. So thanks to this guy, Mark, I'll give you his name. It was a very, very interesting conversation. It happened to be on the news. They interviewed him because he wrote a book. And he has a book and so on, by the way. His name is Lewis Howes. And very interesting. I was thinking about him all week long, and I've been able to, as you know, Mark, in the last couple of weeks, I've been able to. I'm building something here at the house, which I'm done now, and I built this enclosure and so on. Now, let me say this. I say I have been fortunate enough to, when I made this move here to Arizona, to come on to a couple of people who I now see as fantastic, great, wonderful friends in my life. I've been very fortunate to meet Rudy and Shirley Pitts and to be able to share friendship, and they have been extremely instrumental in helping me get these things done at my house. So what does that mean? Team of people around you to support you. They've supported me unbelievably. I would never in a million years have gotten this done in the time frame I've got it done without their help. And I am so blessed, Mark, to have the people around me here. I'm not easy to get to know and want to be friends with everybody, but these are special people who have hearts, who do the right thing. I would never expect either one of them to make a decision that was not the right thing when they have a decision to make. They really are the kind of people. They are the right people to be associated with. So I have to thank them for all the help that they've given me here for my stay here in Arizona. It's been fantastic, and I cherish this friendship here that I have. So if you can get to these goals, it's not just about having the finances to do it, living the daily thing. It's also the people you surround yourself with. And I'm blessed to have Mark. And fortunately, Mark, I don't know if I told you, but a longtime friend of mine is coming to Arizona in a couple of weeks, in January, actually, and actually going to buy a house right near me here in Arizona. So, and we stay in touch, but we haven't hung around together for a number of years. And they're coming here, and the tail end of my life will be with another friend who, again, I cherish the friendship. Always had a great relationship with him and his wife, and it's going to be very exciting to have the tail end of my life with, with the friends around me that I wanted to have. So hopefully you get that this thing about looking at what your perfect day looks like. Write it down and then work towards it and do the work. See yourself doing it and then hustle and go get it. So thanks for being here today.
Thanks, Joe. In closing, let me say this. I know we're a little past the hour and I'm getting the echo, but half of what let me say these two things right quick. And what you learned and heard from Lewis Howes, he said one thing that's very important that everybody should understand. When you talk about business, one of the greatest assets that you have are your people. And what I mean, the people that you would hire in a business or the people that you would select to work with. It's not necessarily the quantity of people, but the quality of people. And when I think about that, and also what you said, it makes me think about one other person in my life, and that's Cecil Piper. If you could know the life of Cecil Piper and what he did when he left Verizon. A lot of people when they retire per se, they say, okay, I'm gonna get this pension and everything, and I'm gonna live a great life. But as we have proven, Joe, and even with that presentation that we put together, the 40-40 plan doesn't work. Well, when Cecil Piper left Verizon, instead of letting them manage his retirement, he took his total retirement and manages himself And Cecil Piper has that life that a lot of other people love to have too. He does a lot of traveling in his business, but it's all directed around his business. He plays golf, he bowls, he has fun, he does all of this and gets his work done, and connects with a lot of people that will be instrumental here very, very soon in just bursting out his business. And when you and you know, he has that type of life that, like you have too, Joe. In other words, he does what he wants, when he wants to, with who, and how he wants to do it. And it's still all around his business, and he has fun and he enjoys his life. So that's what, when you said these things that this guy said, it just made me think of Cecil Piper, because he has all these qualities, and that's what he does. I mean, he lives it every day. He knows what he's going to do every day from beginning to end. And he calls me and everything, we talk, and I'm saying, Dog Piper, you just got back in town. You're going back out of town. And I'm talking about all over the country. And then I had a chance to experience it with him for about a week, going to do some things and everything. And he traveled 5,000-6,000 miles driving in 1 week. How many of us can do that and enjoy it and get done and accomplish what we want to accomplish? That's amazing. So think about the people that are around you, and think about what Joe has says. The other thing is, you have to do right by your customer, and you have to do right by the people that are around you. And the thing that I find, and like I said, Cecil Piper to me is one of the smartest persons I've ever met in my life. And when I'm talking about the quality of people, I like to put people around me that are much smarter than me, because you know what? That helps take your business to another level. And I think that's what this guy is talking about too, Joe, when he talks about the people. It just makes sense. So with that being said, any closing comments from you, Joe?
I just, you're right on with it, Mark. I'm just, I'm very blessed to share some information, and hopefully, you know, people get the idea. And I just, like I said, the thing that hit home for me was to see that perfect day, the vision of what your day is going to look like, and, you know, work on it, see it, hustle, and, you know, get to learn your business. It doesn't matter what company you're in. You need to learn how to communicate properly. We have an on and autoresponder now for everybody that ever came through Webinar Jam. Get it a couple of times a week. You get a notice about the Breakfast Club, and with a note about the communication class. And if you haven't taken it, I mean, you're missing something. And so pay attention to it, because that's what we're talking about today, as far as knowing your business, hustle and learn it, become a pro. I don't believe you're going to get to being a pro about it unless you understand the things that are taught in that class. Otherwise, you'll get some of it and then it'll drift off again, and you'll move back in looking for a new company. I don't care what company, it doesn't matter. So many companies out there, people work for, people come to here, they go listen to the recordings, and they're from other companies. We have companies now that are wanting that class for their back office in their company. It's what they want. So we're restructuring it so that we're not talking about a specific company. And I'm excited about that again, Mark. Maybe we'll go on the road again and teach this live again. That's a real possibility. So anyway, for Mark Stevens, this is Joe Shoup. And listen, you have a wonderful day today, and hopefully sit back if you haven't done it, and write down what your perfect day looks like every day and see yourself doing that. So have a great day, everybody. Thanks for being here, and we will see you again. We decided to stay here on Tuesdays for a little bit, trying to work something out. We'll see you at the Breakfast Club, and look for some notices, because we're putting together that ladies' night at the Breakfast Club. That's coming up soon, so we'll look forward to that. And have a great day, everybody, and have a great day, Mark. We'll talk later.
Okay, Joe. Take care. Peace and blessings, everybody. Make it a great day.